Welcome to another edition of The Conversation here at the Dakotan. Today we are joined by Amber Vibeto with Indy Can, and we're going to talk about a subject that got a lot of attention in the legislature this year, and that is criminalizing abortion. This is something that we've actually talked about before when it was a resolution that was coming up before the Republicans at their convention. And so first off, before we jump into the weightier matters, thanks for coming on again.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Always a good conversation with you. So first off, and I know I probably asked something similar the first time, but why is this topic something that you have decided to invest a lot of time and energy into this? How did this become a passion or a burden, or however you approach it?
Well, I've always been pro-life ever since I can remember. I've felt very passionately about this and have been involved in the pro-life movement in a number of ways throughout the years. But it was only a few years ago that I realized that abortion remained legal in all 50 states. I know that it says that the pro-life establishment will say that there are bans in 14 states, but the truth is that there are no bans because abortion remains legal for the pregnant women in all of these states. And so I realized that we still had a lot of work to do. Right. And I realized that there was definitely just some logical and theological inconsistencies in the pro-life movement that has contributed to abortion remaining legal.
Right. And some would try to say that abortion, or some would try to say that abortion, you mentioned theological, is more, if you're religious, this is something you're just trying to push your religious rights or religious freedoms, however you want to view that, onto everybody. Do you feel like that's a valid argument at all?
No, because all legislation is based on morality of some kind. The root is theological. So when you are making a moral claim of what is right and wrong and what should be allowed or not allowed within the law, you are making a moral claim. So everyone pushes their morality into legislation. It's just a matter of where that morality comes from and which morality is going to prevail. No,
that's a great point. So basically you're saying, like, just because I have a Christian background and I see right and wrong a certain way doesn't mean that I don't have a voice because I'm a Christian.
Absolutely.
And that's almost like the other side of the ditch that we might be approaching if we're not careful.
Yeah. I mean, we are a Christian nation, and you don't have to be a Christian to recognize the benefits of living in a Christian nation. We wouldn't have any rights. We would not have any freedom of expression, justice, order, all of that stuff. So we all should be very thankful that we live in a nation that was based on Christian principles.
Absolutely. Very good. So obviously, big step to actually get legislation that goes before the North Dakota legislature. There was a vote on it. Didn't necessarily go perhaps the way that you wanted, but I'm sure that there was some progress in some form. Talk us through kind of how, were you involved in the legislature? Did you go to a legislature and be like, hey, this is something we want? Were you involved in that capacity at all?
Yep. So we reached out to Foundation to Abolish Abortion. They have been instrumental in introducing and writing these bills of equal protection across the country. And I think in just this year alone, there's going to be 20 bills of equal protection. And so they're kind of the experts in this matter. And really the bills are very simple. It's just extending equal protection under the law. So the same laws that protect you and me protect the preborn person. It doesn't get much simpler than that. So we worked with Foundation to Abolish Abortion, and that's kind of how it got started. Okay.
Very cool. And so then you were able to get it before the North Dakota legislature. There was a lot of, I had in my notes, if I pull this up again, over 300 testimonies of some type, over 200 testimonies of some type that came before the legislature, and there's fairly balanced. There was a lot in opposition, but there was a lot in favor too. It wasn't like, this was not a one-sided thing. The vote was one-sided, and there was reasons for that, but the letters of testimony were not one-sided at all. Was that something that you found encouraging at all as you saw the feedback from people in North Dakota on this topic?
Yes, I think more and more people are realizing just that we haven't protected the preborn like we have thought that we're doing, and they recognize that life, if we're going to say that life begins at conception, then we need to act like it. Our laws need to reflect that, and our laws have not reflected that. So
honestly, that right there is a thing that I don't do these podcasts for people to hear from me. So, but a very real moment for me was when I was talking with somebody. It's like, yeah, this is a good point, because I mean, I am against abortion personally. I've said that on other podcasts. But when you begin to think about it, truly like spend some time thinking about it, like, okay, this is a little bit unfair, the way that we treat this topic, because it's typically, I think, to a lot of people that are against abortion, they're like, yeah, I'm against it. And then when you bring it up, that'd be crazy. And it's simply because we can't see it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's what it comes down to. As soon as the baby comes out of the womb,
yes,
everybody's excited. Everybody will fight to protect that. Matter of fact, they'll fight harder to protect that 2-month-old than they will me.
Yeah.
As a 30-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Like, they will go so hard it doesn't matter who the mom or the dad is, they will fight for that. But if they can't see it, then it's a different perspective. And so that right there is something that really kind of stuck out to me. And I think as more people really begin to process it, something like this shows that North Dakota may start having a stronger voice about it too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, this bill is based on, what God's law says and the 14th Amendment, and both of them demand equal protection under the law for the preborn person. And so regardless, if you may not believe in God's law, but the 14th Amendment is clear that no person, no state has the authority to deny equal protection under the law to any person. And so if you deny equal protection under the law, then you are saying that you don't believe that the preborn baby is a person.
Right. Right.
So is that preborn baby a person, or is he not? And when does he become a person? If you say when he's born, then you're agreeing with Planned Parenthood.
Yeah. Which is crazy that somebody, and I guess, I don't know, you treat them so special. There was an argument that I heard by someone where it's like, all right, so I think it was two males that were talking. And so it's, your wife is pregnant. Are you going to let her drink alcohol? Are you going to let her smoke? Are you going to, and goes down the list of things that would be terrible. Matter of fact, if a mom is smoking all while they are pregnant and their baby comes out and has problems, they're going to be in trouble. Like Child Protective Services is going to get involved. This is going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so we'll fight to protect them with those things. But then if it's going to abort it, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So either keep it healthy or abort it, but no in between ground there. Mm-hmm. That's some crazy. That's just crazy thinking. I don't see how you can fight to protect them in that way and then say that abortion's all right.
Yeah.
All right. So as the topic became before the legislature, there was some arguments that were brought up. One of them that I thought was an interesting argument was a legislature said that they would not vote for a bill unless if it also brought some type of recourse against the father as well. Because obviously the mom is the one that would be easier to criminalize in this instance. The father would be potentially more difficult. There would have to be DNA tests and stuff like that, something to prove. Do you feel like that right there is something that should be a sticking point in the conversation of criminalizing abortion?
Well, unfortunately, that just shows a misunderstanding of the bill, because what a bill of equal protection is, it simply takes the laws that are already on the books for homicide, assault, and wrongful death for me and you, and just applies them to the preborn child.
Yeah.
So it's not singling out the mother at all.
Right.
It's just saying that murdering anyone should be illegal for everyone.
Yep.
So within our pro-life law, it's illegal to cause the death of an unborn child, except for the pregnant mother. She gets a special legal right to cause the death of her unborn child. And so where this becomes, and that is unjust in and of itself, but self-managed abortions, self-induced abortions are by far the vast majority of abortions taking place in the country today. So, so women are able to, abortion has never been more accessible or cheaper than it is right now for women. They can order abortion pills online very easily and take these pills at home. The abortion lobby, they are making TikTok videos showing, making it seem like taking these abortion pills is like a fun self-care day. It's no big deal, and so there are Facebook groups about, like abortion pill support groups, and women are posting pictures of their dead babies in trash cans or in the toilet. It's very disturbing. A lot of these children are far past the 10 weeks. So it's really horrible. But unfortunately, the pro-life organization establishment, they believe that women should face absolutely no penalty for that whatsoever.
And so what you're talking about right there is more than just somebody saying that they don't want to have a kid. It's being celebrated.
Yes.
It's being influence is overtaking, and they're saying this is cool. This is whatever, which is completely, abortion in my viewpoint is wrong. I'm not a fan of situational ethics and stuff like that. But that makes it, like you said, even more disturbing. The idea that we're actually celebrating it when it happens. That's crazy. Really great point that you make about the fathers. It's not about who's all related to the person that passed. It's about who actually committed the crime. How would enforcement work though? There has to have been conversations about this. If somebody that I knew or that I didn't know, somebody passes away in their home tonight, then there's going to be a coroner that shows up, and there's not going to be a criminal investigation unless if something looks criminal.
Right.
How would that apply for somebody that committed an abortion, but perhaps they showed up to the doctor's visit, they found out they were pregnant, they never showed up again. They took self-medicating pills, abortion happened. What happens?
Right. Well, I mean, it's going to be very hard to prove, with the abortion pill. It just is. I can imagine, because we've never dealt with this before, I can imagine that we really wouldn't see very many prosecutions. Number one, because no one has the appetite for that. No one actually wants to throw women in prison for having abortions. The goal is deterrence. The goal is to teach our culture, teach these women that abortion is murder.
Right.
And so we want to prevent women from doing that. In fact, we had many post-abortive women testifying in favor of the bill because they said that if this had been a law when they were pregnant, they would never have made the biggest mistake of their lives.
Wow.
They don't want to commit murder,
right.
But our law gives them that option. Our law tells them that it's okay for them to do it. It's not okay for other people to do it, but it's okay for them to do it. So interesting. But as far as enforcement, it would just be like any other murder. Everyone is presumed innocent, until proven guilty. You have to have police involved. You have to have a prosecutor. It's equal justice under the law. Right. So anytime there is a death, we use the justice system. We use our common sense.
So what you're saying is it's not even so much that this law would go and create a deal where going to show up at people's houses and that's not the idea. That may be sometimes we think in the back of our heads what's going to happen. More than anything, you're saying it's going to be a deterrent. Yes Where you said that people, if they would have known that it was a law, they would have been much less likely to do an abortion. That's incredible right there. Just the idea that there was something not morality based, but actually in fine print, hey, this is wrong. Okay, then I won't do it.
Right. Right. And this also protects women as well, because in North Dakota law, it's illegal to coerce a woman to have an abortion, but that word coerce only means physical threat.
Okay.
But it's still legal for boyfriends and fathers to pressure a woman to have an abortion, to threaten her by withholding money or care. They absolutely can do that, but you can't personally pressure someone to commit homicide.
Right.
So if we had equal protection under the law for the preborn person, then men would not be able to do that. They would be held liable for pressuring a woman to commit murder.
I see. Would this is a question for an attorney.
Yeah.
But you're obviously researched it. If a husband had pressured the wife, would there be the chance that the wife would be able to go off free, and the husband would then have to suffer the
absolutely.
justice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. We take, you just take everything into consideration. That's why we have a justice system,
right,
where we take every case as it is and we consider who was involved. Yeah.
Interesting. Powerful.
Yeah.
How closely did you go through testimony and stuff like this? My next question is going to put you on the spot potentially. Okay. What was some of as you went through testimony and stuff like that and heard that stuff at the legislature, what was some of the comments that really stood out to you, whether that was on the left, the side that said no in opposition, or on the opposite side that said that we're in favor? What were some of the comments that really stood out to you as you went through it?
Well, I mean, what stands out to me the most is not what the pro-choicers say, because we all know what they're going to say. Yeah. They just are for a woman's right to murder her own child. So we all know what they stand for. What is really unfortunate is to see these pro-life organizations stand up and testify against equal protection under the law for preborn children. They don't believe that the same laws that protect you and me should protect preborn children. They say that they believe that we are all created equal in the image of God, and that the preborn life is just as worthy as our lives, but their actions don't match up with that.
Yeah.
And that is what's really unfortunate. And the reason for that is because they say that women are victims of abortion, and so therefore they should have complete legal immunity to have an abortion. And their solution is to just continue educating. And they throw out phrases like, well, we want to make abortion unthinkable, and we want to build a culture of life.
Yeah.
And the fact is that method has failed. We have a culture that is mostly pro-choice. We have more abortion than ever before. We have more abortion taking place now than when Roe v. Wade still stood. So we are failing as a pro-life movement, and it's because we have left out the one major piece of the puzzle, and that's establishing justice for these babies.
Right. Well, I mean, you look at life and you find that negative reinforcement, if you do too much, you can have major problems, right? But typically negative reinforcement stands out better than positive reinforcement. It's just a fact. You go and you look at things and we don't address them much, but if you look locally, there's 6,000, 7,000 people on the Minot's Rants and Raves group, and there's 20-some thousand in the Minot's Whiners and Complainers group. It's more fun to whine and complain. It is, but on the opposite side, when you have a kid and you say, hey, and I'm not getting into the whole mess of parenting. I'm just trying to go and touch every topic today to make everyone upset. But you go and you only do positive reinforcement. Eventually, whether that's sitting on the couch, whether that's taking a toy away, whether that's whatever it might be, however you parent, it's great. But eventually there's got to be like, here's a line. You cross this, something is going to happen that you don't like. And it's just, you work for a place. It's called a performance improvement plan. There is a line that's crossed and say, you do this, we're going to have to create a plan where you're going to have to improve. There is a line in life. And as long as there's no line, people, when there's gray area, people run into that gray area
Right.
fast.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what's happening here, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the line is the 14th Amendment. So our pro-life law is in violation of the 14th Amendment because it denies equal protection under the law.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And so when our law, right now it's being held up in the state Supreme Court. We're still waiting to see, if they're going to uphold that law or completely throw it out. That was one of the things that some legislators expressed concern that what's going to happen to this law. We don't want to risk passing this law because we don't want to jeopardize this other law. Well, that makes absolutely no sense because our law, our Bill of Equal Protection, dealt with completely different chapters of Century Code.
Okay.
So it would not have mattered one way or the other. In fact, the riskier move was not passing this bill because if our law does get overturned, then abortion is going to be completely illegal. If we had passed equal protection, then abortion would have been completely banned. It would not have even mattered.
Right.
So that's on the pro-life movement. That's on the pro-life establishment for crafting a bill that makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. Because it's hard to argue that abortion should be illegal when you are carving out the right to an abortion for the one person who makes the decision. It makes absolutely no sense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they have a budget that's approaching, I believe the 2023 to 2025 biennium budget was like almost $20 billion. And they're talking about this little bit. It's like, if you cared about it, it'd be all right. And judging by testimony, if you talk to your constituents, the vote should have been a little bit closer than it was, for sure. So there was definitely some people potentially that's not willing to stand. Some felt like the law, I think you already addressed this is on my question list, that the law was not going to be clear enough or whatever. But what you just said is that it wouldn't even have probably become before an attorney, before a court, before any of that, because it wasn't going to be affected. Okay, so moving on, where do you go from here? What happens next? The fight's over. We just move on?
No, not at all. So we've got a couple years now where we're going to just educate, mostly churches, but just the Republican districts as well. And so I've gone and talked to a few churches so far in some districts, and it really is amazing to see people get it. They get it right away.
Wow.
And they're shocked and dismayed that Republicans voted against this. They're shocked and dismayed that pro-life organizations are fighting to keep abortion legal. That's what they are doing. And so they're just amazed. And so I think that all it really is going to take is just continued education. And next time around, we will have more support. And this is how we abolish slavery. Yeah. We just kept making the same argument over and over, not compromising. And this is how we make abortion unthinkable. Yep. We make it illegal.
It's crazy that it just comes down to education.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's crazy that you're able to go into those settings and showcase whatever presentation, however you guys go about it. And people are like, wow, I see it now. That's scary. I mean, that's awesome, the work that you guys are doing, but that's scary also for the people. Like, make sure we're researching what we're actually talking about here. Talking numbers, and these are a little bit old. In 2022, the CDC reported 623,000, just over that, abortions. As of 2023, I believe 63% of those were medication abortions. Those are some of the statistics that you're kind of addressing, which is crazy. Over 60% of abortions are just happening at home, essentially. It's crazy that it's that accessible. It's more accessible than what we realize, and that goes back to the education. North Dakota doesn't have many abortion clinics, if at all.
We don't need them. Women don't need abortion clinics.
Right. That's the scary part. That's the scary part, because that's what we think is happening. And I know that they still probably have a very strong effect, but you hear about Planned Parenthood and like, well, we don't have any Planned Parenthood clinics, or we don't have any this, that, or the other. Well, it's still accessible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, another thing is if somebody goes out of state and gets an abortion and then comes back to North Dakota, and it's known. Is there if the state that they went into does not have a law such as this in place, is there anything that can be done?
I don't think so. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think so.
Yeah. And so that's what's crazy. When you look at this bill, it is looked at as like this like terrible thing. But it's honestly, from the law standpoint, in my opinion, it's not that strong. It goes to the simple fact that if people are told this is wrong, it says it's wrong. Here, I can show you this is wrong. Okay, I won't do it. It's simply not playing, but reinforcing in people's minds a right and wrong. I mean, it's scary to think about other things in life. If we didn't have laws, that how crazy people can be, because the morality is very low. Because we're humans. I'm not trying to pick at anything. And it simply just abides on the premise of what's right and wrong.
Right.
Show me it, black and white.
Yep. The law restrains and the law teaches. And our laws have taught that preborn babies are not as valuable as born people. And
that should fire somebody up.
Yeah. I mean, that's what our pro-life establishment has taught us. Even though they say one thing, their actions show they actually believe another. So
as you get into abortion, something that has to come up, a topic that has to come up, is that of the medical exception, right? Mom's life is on the line, baby's life is on the line. What happens? How does this put any pressure on the mom to not commit abortion because there's life on the line, so she has to give her own life to save her kid, so that way she doesn't end up in jail? Is that what this law is going to do? Will it have an effect like that?
No, absolutely not. There are two patients on the table, right? So you do whatever you can to save both lives. If the baby has to come out, is there a reason why we have to kill the baby first? No, we don't have to rip the baby apart in order to come out of the mother. We can deliver the baby whole and treat that baby with dignity, and and do whatever we can to save that child's life. But that is a rare thing. But there's never a reason to kill the baby first. So, I mean, people talk about ectopic pregnancies. That is not murder. That is a medical situation where that child has no hope of growing and the woman's life is in danger. So that is not considered homicide or assault, Right. But in these other cases, you deliver the baby whole.
Gotcha. Very good. Very good. It seems like that's an argument that comes up often on the abortion topic, but it seems like there's not really actually place for that argument. It sounds like, because you would treat it just like a accident scene where there's 3 people injured. You're going to go and treat the people that you can save.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. Very good. Well, do you have, where can people find out more as you guys are working on educating? Where can people find out more about what you guys have going on and things like that?
Well, you can go to my website, ndcan.org. I've got lots of articles about, what has gone down in North Dakota and just how the pro-life establishment killed the Bill of Equal Protection. Just stay tuned for any events that we might have coming up. And if there's anybody who would like to have me come and speak at their church or their district meeting, I'd be happy to do that. They can just contact me through my website.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Exciting. Well, I appreciate you coming on, talking about this important topic. Anything that I didn't ask about, or that you want to get thrown in there, or any parting words of wisdom that you have for us, anything like that?
I guess my parting words of wisdom would be to, if you consider yourself pro-life, I would just encourage you to leave the pro-life movement and become an abolitionist instead.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, again, thank you for coming on, and thank you to our viewers for watching this episode of The Conversation here at The Dakotan. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we are going to continue to bring great content your way. Thanks for watching this episode, and have a great day.